Hey everybody, Joy here. It is, let me see, it's a Thursday, and I think it's November 14, 2024. And this video started out to be something completely different, but I started to make a pair of pants. And so many of you said, show us how you make clothes, show us how you make your patterns. So I was making this, I've already made it 12 times, I was making it for the 13th time. Pull-up pants with elastic waist. This is New Look 6246. I don't know if you can still get this pattern or not. But it doesn't matter if you can get it or not. This just happens to be the one that I have prepared with my crotch depth, crotch length, hips, all of the different measurements, you know, how I make the paper fit me. And so this is all ready for me to just sew up. So that's what I made. But I know a lot of you are going to say, well, what pattern can we use? So I just went on the internet and I went to simplicity.com, and the patterns right now on this date are on sale, and they're often on sale. They're a little more than, you know, we used to buy them for $1.99 at Joann's or 99 cents at Joann's, but still they're a really good price, and you don't have to go to Joann's, and you don't have to go to Hobby Lobby, and you don't have to go anywhere. You just put them in your bag, pay some freight, and they come to your front door. So that's my new way of buying patterns. So I'm going to show you right here. I went to simplicity.com and I thought, oh, I need to find some patterns for them because I know they're going to ask me what pattern can they use. I wasn't there 2 minutes, maybe just 1 minute, and I found 3 patterns that you could use to make pants. New style pants with wider legs. I actually ordered all 3 patterns. Because if you'll watch this video, and people always say, watch to the end, watch to the end. I don't care if you watch to the end, but if you watch to the end, you'll see why I want a wider leg pant. And I'm glad they're in style right now. So I found 3 patterns: Simplicity 3036, Simplicity 3047, and Simplicity 3049. I took pictures. I am going to show the pictures right here, and I will narrate about each pant for you. Here is Simplicity 3036 by Mimi G. This is a perfect pattern. It has the pockets, and it has different kind of pockets that I really like, and it has a drawstring, which I would not put, but it has the elastic, and it has the new kind of wider leg pull up elastic pant. And here it is from the front, and you can see the ties hanging down. You don't have to put those ties. I think it's ridiculous to have those ties when you have an elastic waist. Of course, I mean, if you have a waist and you want to show your waist, then I guess those would be cute. But mine would be totally hidden, and they just make a bump under my shirt. So forget the ties on me. And look at this cool pocket. The pocket isn't totally in the side seam. It's over in the waistband a little bit away from the side seam at the top. And I really like that. So the only thing is, I think you would have to sew on a separate casing at the top to get that pocket exactly right. But I'm not sure about that. But if you have to sew on a separate casing, it's worth it to get that pocket. I really like that pocket. I'm thinking maybe it would lay flatter than the kind that goes totally into the side seam. We'll have to see when I make the pant, but I really do like that. So here's a cute pattern. I bought this one because I love that little topper that it has with it. That is super cute. The pants, you can't really tell by the picture, but the pants have an elastic waist. The pattern says it also has a zipper in the back of the pants. Now, I don't know why on earth you would need a zipper in the back of the pants. Doesn't make any sense to me. But, you know, if you want it there, put it there. But I wouldn't do that. I would just put the elastic. If it has darts back there, I'd take the darts out and I'd just put the elastic in. It doesn't show just the pants, so I can't really tell what they've done at the waist. But I think that top is just super cute. I don't know if I'd put that pocket on the top or not. It looks like something that would just look like my belly blew up or something. But it's a cute top except for that pocket. If I was built like those 2 models, I'd put 2 of them. Okay, here's another one, Simplicity 3049. And I ordered this one. I think I actually already own this one. But I like the top. I think the top is really cute. I'd make the one with the sleeves probably since it's almost winter. But love the top. I guess it's kind of a tunic. And the pants, it says, although I can't see the pants again, but it says they have an elastic waist. So if they don't have an elastic waist, you can always make one, but it says they have an elastic waist. So I really like that one, and it looks like the pants at the bottom aren't terribly wide. I kind of like the width of those. So lots of choices. Now, like I said, I found these in like a minute. I didn't look at McCall's, I didn't look at Butterick, I didn't look at New Look. So there's lots of patterns out there that you can use. Just if it says there's an elastic waist, then that means you can pull them up. And that's what I like, because zippers and snaps and hooks and eyes are unadjustable if you change weight, which I do daily. So you buy what you like, but I like these a lot. Ordered all 3 of them. You know me, I like my pants. And see, I've got my yellow ones on today. And I've used lots of different patterns, but doesn't matter. You want pull-up pants, you can find them on the internet right now, current styles. Yay. So the rest of this video I filmed for probably 2 or 3 days. A lot of you know we're having a barn built. You can probably hear some hammering out there in our yard. And so we've had people coming and going and coming and going. And so there's been times I just had to stop. And so it ended up taking me several days to make 1 pair of pants when I easily could have made it in an afternoon. Okay, so right here, I'm going to start all the clips of me making a bright orange pair of pants out of Kona cotton. It's going to start out with me explaining how I ended up getting the bright orange fabric and the crazy top to go with it. But then it'll go right into me making the pants. Okay? Let me know what you think. You want to see what my friend Philly made me make? We were at Hobby Lobby the other day. We meet each other at the Hobby Lobby, then we go out to lunch somewhere. And first we spend an hour and a half at the Hobby Lobby. And it was 40% off all the fabric at Hobby Lobby. I love the 40% off. I had a piece of fabric with me, that new top that I made, my church top. And I was trying to find a Kona cotton to match it, even though I have that really nice silk cotton. But I thought, maybe I should make another pair first, just to make sure that I don't mess up the silk cotton. Well, they didn't have it. But they had some fall prints, and I like to do a fall print. And there was one there that Philly liked. And she said, that matches that fabric down there just perfect. You ought to get that one. And I said, that has trucks on it. I can't wear trucks. And she said, why can't you wear trucks? I said, trucks are for boys. I can't wear trucks. And I had barns. And I said, I can't wear barns. I don't wear barns and trucks. And I said, that's for a man. And she said, don't think a man would wear that, Joy. So anyway, she made me buy it. And I did, 40% off. I thought, oh, well, you know, if it doesn't turn out, I'll just put it in the Goodwill box. You know, and somebody that loves to wear trucks and barns can wear it. So I came home from church yesterday. No, it was actually the day before on Saturday. I was waiting for Jerry to come home. And I thought, instead of finishing these other things that I have for church clothes, I'm going to go ahead and make this because it's fall, right? And fall's almost over. It's going to be Christmas before we know it. So I thought I'll go ahead and make this truck, barn, house. It did have pumpkins in it, and I like pumpkins. And it had trees, and I like trees. So I cut that out and got it all made. So you want to come downstairs with me and see how that turned out? Let's go. I told you. Truck, truck, truck. Barn, barn, barn. But it has pumpkins. So, you know, man couldn't wear a shirt with pumpkins in it. So that's how I talked myself into it. Although, you know, men wear floral shirts, flowers. But it's not for a man, it's for me. So you want to see me make the pants to go with it? I have the fabric already. Let me see. Here it is. Hold on. You know I love Kona cotton for pants. Camera's so high up you can't see what I've got on. right now with this shirt. So here's the cone of cotton, and Billy's the one that decided that this needed to go with this, see? And so, you know, you never want to hurt Philly's feelings. So, I'm going to make this today. The pants I have on actually match that pretty good. But since it's fall and fall's almost over, I want to hurry up and get this made so I can wear it before Christmas. This pattern, what is this pattern? This pattern is something I made with my SureFit Designs. So it's not a commercial pattern you can go out and buy. Here it is where I made it in purple. Here it is where I made it with yoke on the top front and the top back. But that shirt isn't here. That shirt's in the camper because see, it has campers. I'm kind of over that now. Now that we've had our RV for several years, I'm kind of over that. So, this is my pattern, SureFit Designs, and I am really surprised. Is it SureFit Designs? Yes, because it says it is. And I didn't use a big enough choose a bust. With the SureFit Designs, you can pick a bust size, and I evidently didn't pick a big enough one. So I ended up, and of course, you know, if I quit gaining weight, it would help. It's not so much that I'm gaining weight, my shape is changing so much. And I barely have a waist at all anymore. Oh, it's so sad. I remember when my waist was 25 inches. Well, it's 10 inches bigger than that now. So, and I have seen so many YouTube videos where ladies my age have the same problem. So, you know, in my mind, it's not my fault. And there's a good exercise. You know, I watched these videos, and I need to write them down. I watched a really good one, a lady my age, and she was showing an exercise to do to get rid of that bottom blob you get where your lower belly hangs. Oh, hate that. And she showed a good exercise to do that. So, if I think of it, I'll show you what that is later on, okay? So here's my pattern. This is the front of it, and you can see I put an FBA. I really like the pattern. It fits me perfect because it's SureFit Designs. Why didn't the bust dart come out right? Because I didn't choose a big enough one. It's probably a C, and I needed a D, which doesn't make any sense because in a bra, I wear a C. It doesn't make any sense, but you learn what makes sense and what doesn't, and you work your way around it. So this is my SureFit Designs. Right here, fits me wonderful. Has a bust dart, has a what do you call the bust dart that goes, a French dart? A French dart. So you can barely even see it. I'm gonna make the pants, and I've made the pants 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times. I have all these color pants in my closet. And I just love that because I pulled this blouse out the other day and I looked through all of my Kona cotton pants. And I have these on that match just perfect. So I was so happy. Okay, you want to see me make some pants? Stay here. Every single fabric I bring in this house is washed. Washed on just regular warm water. And I always rinse. I always do a second rinse on any load I ever wash. I always do a second rinse because, you know, these new washing machines are chintzy on water. So it has been washed and dried. And then I brought it in here and I folded it and put it on my poster board, core. It's called core board. The cheaper ones you can buy, the better they are. So where should you buy it? It's not at Dollar General. I think there's one called Dollar Tree, and they sell this. It was 99 cents, but now it's probably $1. Is everything $1.25 now? And that's cheaper than you're going to find it anywhere else. But the cheaper you can find it, the easier it is to cut, and the lighter it is. You don't want the thick, heavy stuff. I have bought it before from Amazon because nobody had it, and it was hard to cut. So you want the cheapest you can find. And I buy it 20 inches by 30 inches, and I cut it in half and in half with a long ruler and an X-Acto knife blade. My X-Acto knives are at my other house, so I can't, but you know what one looks like. And that's what I cut it with, against a ruler. And then these end up 10 inches by 15 inches. And that's because that's what fits in my shelf. See, my shelf is full, getting in there. But see, that's what fits in my shelf. See, fits right in there. So you'll want to cut your boards to fit where you're going to put yours. Upstairs, they go in this way. Still the same size, still wrapped the same way, but I make sure the fabric shows here on the end, and if it's short, then the end that doesn't have fabric on it goes in first. So all of the bolts, you can see this end. All right? Same size board fits in both. Upstairs, my cabinets are IKEA. Are these IKEA? I don't remember if these are IKEA or not, but the cabinets upstairs are IKEA. Okay, and so you put this away for when you buy more fabric. Now that I have this pressed, Kona cotton holds a press. You see the crease? So I'm just going to run it over my ironing board one more time. Kona cotton, purchased at Hobby Lobby. Heat your iron up. This iron is a Rowenta Focus. Under $100, and I really like it. The more expensive ones that I was buying, they kept on breaking. They'd last a couple years, and then I'd use my warranty and get it fixed, and it might last another year, but they always ended up leaking. So I figured I'll just buy a cheaper one, and so far it's lasted just as long and done just as well, and it has really good steam. The steam is really good if you have water in the iron. But the one thing about it is, if I turn it on like this, it will never heat up. You have to move it because it has that auto off. So you have to move it and then it will heat up. I thought it was broken for a while. I thought, this stupid thing won't heat up. And then I figured out if you move it, it heats up. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to repress this. I'm going to make sure the selvages line up perfect. And I'm going to press this crease out of the middle, because I don't want that crease in my pants. My pants are going to be creased, but not there. All right? So, pre-wash it. Make it right away if you want to. I made that one with the trucks and the barns right away. But if you take it off the bolt and it's 100% cotton, which this is, you're probably going to want to press it again. It takes, what, 3-4 minutes? Not long. How much do I buy? If I'm making pants, I buy 3 yards. I always have extra. But when you're making pants and you have this narrow fabric that's only 45 inches, you are going to have the length of your pants twice, because you're going to put the front and then you're going to move down and put the back. You're not going to be able to fit 2 across like when you have 60-inch wide fabric. And sometimes you can't fit 2 across even on that. Depending on, you know, the part with the crotch on it, it usually sticks out pretty far. Isn't this nice? Look how nice it presses. I love this Kona cotton for pants. Would I wear it to church? It wouldn't hurt. If I did, we don't have that fancy of a church. But the pants I'm making to wear to church are going to be linen, or that pair I'm getting ready to make is silk and cotton. It is lovely fabric. You don't need to watch me do this. I'll be back and show you how I cut it out. Did I show you this yet? Yes, this is the silk cotton. And I had enough left over that I could make a tank top. The only problem is I had to put a seam down the center front of it. So I didn't want to do it. I tried to put it down the center back, but the center front is wider because of the huge bust dart, and I just could not get it to fit. And I tried putting lace down the front or buttons, and I just don't like it. So this is the Peggy Sager's tank top pattern. I've made it a dozen times also. This one has facings, but you don't have to put facings. You can just fold it under 3/8 inch and top stitch it. But for this, I wanted to have facings. Alrighty, here we are. We are pressed. I can still see a little bit of the seam, but We'll press the rest of it out later. It's laying flat, and that's what you need. So here's my pattern, new look 6246. And I have made it, like I told you, however many times I counted. So much fun to look in your closet and have all different colored pants. Now I've changed the pattern. I think I've changed the pattern. Yes, I have. Because, let me show you, in the pattern, so this one has a casing, a separate casing that you sew on at the top. Let me see, did I do it on this pair? And it has pockets. No, I don't want a casing that's sewn on. That gives you a whole nother seam allowance here at your waist. What do you want that there for? So what I do, and you'll see it, is I just build the casing onto the pant. Where are you? That's not a pant. That's not a pant. That's the top. That's the top. Don't tell me this is, oh, you know what? This is already out. Why don't you get organized, Roy? I know, why don't I? The reason the pattern isn't there is because it's here on the silk cotton pants. See, they're already cut out. But look here at the top. I have added this extra at the top so I can just fold it down and put the elastic in it without having to sew a band on the top of it to put the elastic in. What do you want to do that for? Just make it long enough to fold down. See, it'll fold down like this, and then I'll put the elastic in there. So much less bulk. So what I'm going to do is take the paper pattern off of these. They're ready to make. I actually added 1 inch in length to these. I probably don't need it. I've made it 12 times. But when I sit down, these pants pull up quite a bit above my ankle, and I don't like my ankles. I don't like them to show. Because I have to wear those sucky socks, you know. And the sucky socks aren't very pretty. It's like, what are your socks made of, man? Cardboard? I know. Some days my ankles don't swell very much. And it's probably the days that I don't eat a bucket of salt. I am a salt person. I'm not into sugar. You wouldn't know it by my belly. This is carb. This is carb belly. This is bread. I don't put any sugar in my drinks. All right, so there's one piece. Why don't I just make these up? Because I want to check and make sure that my body hasn't changed. Well, I just made these a couple weeks ago. I just want to make sure that the pants are going to fit me. I need to put all those pieces back in the envelope. And this is the back. The back. It's got 1 1/4 inch hem at the bottom. And you can see how I added length. I added a 1/2 inch here, and I've sewn them that way many times, but now I've added another inch here. Just to make sure they're plenty long enough. I also always add extra up at the top. I don't need this much, but you can put a 1 inch wide elastic. You could put a 1/2 inch wide elastic. You could put 1 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 inch. I usually use 1 1/4. But you allow enough room to put however wide elastic you want to put in there. How wide's this one? This one's 1 1/4, and that's what I like. So here's that part. These are all ready to sew together, but like I said, I'm going to make the orange ones first. This is extra. What do you need extra for? Because I got to cut out a piece and stick it on this envelope. I don't know where I'm going to stick it, but I'm going to put it there somewhere. And yes, I always make an envelope. I cut out the front of the pattern, put it on the front. I cut out the back of the pattern, put it on the back. And then I write notes. I just write all kinds of notes. What does that say about Philly? Embroidered with Philly. So Philly and I both made a t-shirt one day. And this is the t-shirt pattern I used. I embroidered a big chicken on mine, and she embroidered a big chicken on hers. We don't need the directions anymore. Now, if you need the directions, mark. See, you can see, I don't know why I did this. But usually I'll put a square around what I'm making, and then I'll come find the directions for that particular thing that I'm making, that view, and I'll mark it on the direction sheet. And then that tells you how much fabric you need and how to lay the pattern out. I'm not going to put pockets in these. It takes more time to put pockets in, and it makes them a little bit more bulky. This pair came out really, really good on the pockets. What I love about Kona cotton, it just behaves so nice. And then you find where you're going to start, and we're going to start over here where it says pants. So keep your paper, put notes on your paper, it belongs to you, and keep it out and follow. You don't need me to show you how to make these pants right here. It's super, super easy. Pants are very, very easy to make. The hardest thing about pants is having them fit you after you get them made. So that's the hardest part. You'll want to trim your paper pattern, add length if you need to add length, add the part at the top if you don't want to add a casing on, and up to you. But when I cut out a pattern, I cut it outside the lines. I don't cut the black line off. I cut outside the black line. I mean, what's it going to be? 1/1,000th of an inch extra? Put your pattern on. I line mine up over here with the selvage because if you keep the fold, it will give you more fabric. It'll leave you more fabric to do something else with, like the facings if you were making a blouse, but I'm not making a blouse. So I'm going to line this piece up here, and then this arrow, you see the long line that has the arrow tip on each end? That's the grain line. That has to be straight on a pair of pants. If you don't get this laid out straight on this piece of fabric, your pant leg is going to twist funny. Like I always crease mine down the front, and if you don't cut it out so that grain is straight, your pant leg is going to turn sideways and your seam is going to go off to the left or the right. Not your seam, your crease. Your crease will go off to the left or the right. Down at the bottom of your pants drives me crazy. So get yourself a good ruler, and the first thing you're going to do when you put this pattern piece down, be sure to look underneath to make sure that the underneath is as long as the upper part of your fabric. In this case, the top is shorter than the bottom, so I don't have any problem seeing that. But what if this fabric was upside down the other way, and I lined this all the way up at the top? I would be short on one piece. I never cut anything at the edge. I buy extra fabric, and this is cheap, 40% off Kona. Cheap. What was it, $6 a yard maybe? Get a ruler. I always start with the number 1 line. I can see it better than I can the edge of the ruler. So I always start on the number 1 line. I put it on the line with the arrows at both ends. And then I look over here to a place that looks good that I can line it up with. So 7.5 looks good here. Then I see if I can line that up. Oops. You have to have elbows and fingers. Remember, your hands are your best tools, huh? See, this comes too far over. So I'm going to put it at H, because I want a line here too. And then I'm going to line that black line up with the 1. That puts this just past the selvage. Sure your selvages line up, my friends. Be very sure. And sometimes, even after I iron it, they don't line up very good. I think they just moved a little bit, yeah. Line up your selvages. That's going to throw my crease off a little bit there, but I don't care. Line everything up. This part is very, 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 very important. Unless you're sewing with a knit. With a knit, you can be off a little bit and it's not going to hurt anything. Alright, let's try this again. We're going to start on the 8.5. You said 8. I know, but I changed my mind. Now see, I'm holding the ruler here with my elbow so I can move the paper. And so I'm putting that right on that line, then I'm going to get a weight. I'm going to get a lot of weights. Then I'm going to come up here to the top of the line. The line starts here and ends here. So you need to check the whole length of that line. So we're going to put this on 8.5. The very edge. Then I'm going to line that line up. There. Okay? So the one line on the ruler covers the black line on the pattern exactly. I'm going to pin it up here. I usually pin, but I start out with weights because sometimes I have to move them. All right, one there, 8.5 here, perfect. Perfect, and then come back here and check and make sure nothing moved. One there, 8.5 here, and it moved a hair. Is a hair going to matter? I don't know. Cut it out and see. Okay. So now I am on the straight of grain. You don't want to cut anything out until you know you're on the straight of grain. I'm going to put a pin in it now because weights move. As much as I mess with it. Do you have to use pins? No. You can use these weights, especially if you've cut it out a million times. But I want to pin that, because see how I'm messing with it? I'm spreading it this way and I'm spreading it this way and I'm making sure all the wrinkles are gone. If you've got that straight of grain line pinned, it isn't going to move. But you can still move the pattern and make sure that it's laying here right. And then that's when I use my weights. Okay, see? Nice and flat. It's called flat pattern. So it's not going to be very flat if you don't smooth it out. Yes. It'll look wrinkled. How many times have I made this? Oh my goodness, so many times. I have big washers. These great big washers came from my friend Diana years ago. Her husband had got them somewhere. He said where he got them. I don't remember the name of the place now. And I went in there and tried to buy some later. And they said, you don't have an account here. You have to be a farmer or a rancher or an Indian chief or something. Whatever it was, I wasn't it. So they wouldn't let me buy them. But those are my favorite. These I got at probably Ace Hardware. And it's 3 or 4 flat washers. I see people throwing the flat washers around. To me, they aren't heavy enough. So I put 3 or 4 together, wrap them with grosgrain ribbon. I've used these for years and years. Love them. Love them, love them. There's different sizes. See how the green is littler than the purple? Buy the biggest ones you can find. Because the bigger they are, the heavier they are. Now right here, it seems to want to have a little fold in it. Just put that down. Okay? So now I'm ready to cut this out. I know I have plenty left, but just in case, because I didn't go all the way to the top, just in case, I'm going to spread this out. Oh, good heavens, yes. I got more than enough for your other piece. I've shown you this before, but some of you may be new. If you are, how do you do? Get a ruler and use the Quilter Select rulers. They're the best. They're the very, very best. Why are the Quilter Select rulers the best? Because the entire back is covered with something. It's totally, totally flat. And it's not bumpy. Totally, totally flat and smooth. But it's non-slip. The front is just regular. So you always have to have the wrong side down. Quilter Select needs to be right side up, the Q and the S. But these are just the best rulers. And anybody that has them will tell you that. So I'm going to put that right there because that's a straight line. And I'm going to cut this right there, and then I'm going to keep going all the way across. So that piece of fabric is cut all the way across. I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to put it in the top of this. Does anybody know why I did that? Why did I do that? Because if this falls on the floor or it gets turned around, I don't want to cut from the wrong end. I don't want to accidentally cut from this end instead of this end, because if it's a print, it's going to be upside down. Maybe its weave is a little different one way or the other. I just always want to cut all my pieces with the grain going the same way. Have a sharp blade on your cutter, and this one probably isn't very sharp. I have a feeling these are going to be too long. I'm going to be sorry I put that extra inch in there, but extra is better than not enough, right? The only way it wouldn't be, keep your hand away from the blade. I have real nice scars on 2 of my fingers from getting my hand too close to a blade. See, my blade didn't cut the whole way. A new blade would. But it's still cutting most of the way, and I'm so chintzy. Look at that. It just hung up in one place. So to me, that's a new blade enough. So I'm going to put this aside. This is all extra. I'll cut facings out of it later. Why do you buy more than you need? Because I might make a mistake. I have been known to make mistakes, especially on the facings. And then I will cut them out again because I'll have extra, see? You can see me pushing kind of funny on that. If I just went like that, I might slip, I might go into the pattern or out or something, and if I just go like that, it seems to stay straighter. Now this piece is scrap, it's going in the trash. Now I have another straight edge up here. So I'm going to use my ruler again. I'm going the wrong direction to cut it, but I'm going to try to cut it backwards. How much did I add at the top? Remember, there's a seam allowance at the top of the pant to add your casing in the pattern. So you've already got seam allowance there on the pant. So to figure out the elastic, say I'm using 1.5 inch. I do 1.5 plus 1.5 because you got to fold it in half. Then I add 5/8 inch to it. 5/8 inch because you got to sew that 5/8 inch to this 5/8 inch. Okay. So if you've got 1.5 and 1.5, you have 3 plus 5/8 is 3 5/8 inch. So that's how much extra I would add at the top. Only being me and not always getting my figures right, I'll add probably 1/2 inch after that. You can always cut off the extra. If you cut it too short, you're just up a creek and you just better get in your boat and go back to Hobby Lobby and get some more fabric. Okay. Why do you need a boat, Joy? Because you're up a creek. Get it? Okay. Cut your notches. Cut your notches. A double notch means the front, right here. Double notch means the front. Double notch to double notch sews the front together. The back should have a triple notch. Here on the sides a notch to match up your side seams. These sew together so fast. It takes me longer to cut this out than to sew it together until you get to the elastic part. It takes a little time for the elastic, but to just sew the pant together, doesn't take any time. I have a hem down here. How do you know? Because when I fold the hem up, the side seams match here. They come down and then they go back out. So when the pant's done and I fold the hem up, it fits inside there. It doesn't end up being too short. Now because I've added 1 inch to this, I may have to adjust that. I don't know, we'll see. I just wanted to make sure this was plenty long enough to not pull up so much when I'm sitting in a chair. Okay? So, here's the pattern. Now, what's the other thing you have to do? One more thing I have to do. Anybody know what that is? One more thing. You have to mark the wrong side. If you don't mark the wrong side of this fabric, you're going to end up sewing a front to a back, a right side to a wrong side somewhere. Friction markers, I like the markers, not the pens. Mark. Whichever side you think is the wrong side, you mark it. That is going to iron off. And just be sure that you don't iron it off until you've sewn part of the pants together. Alright, so there's the front. Right there. So picture this. This will be folded down. The elastic will be in it. The crotch goes. See, you think it's super, super long, but it's not. When I get it up here at my waist, see how short it is now? And the pocket goes right here if you want to put a pocket. But I'm not going to put a pocket. I just feel like it makes it, although it works out really well with these, but see how that just sticks out the hair there? And if you don't have that there, it lays much flatter. Okay, so that piece is done. Now don't cut out too front. Put that pattern aside. If you're like me and you just, my table's only so long. So I wanted to cut that one out. Now I'm going to pull my fabric up and I'll cut the other one out. So let's get it up here. I have my pin. My pin says this is the top. You're going to line your pattern up with the top of your pants to the top of this fabric because that will match how you cut the other piece. See, this is how much is left with 3 yards. Yeah. Straighten it out, smooth it out. Make sure your selvages, now my selvages are lined up perfect this time. I don't know why they aren't always, but they aren't. Smooth it out. It's kind of nice I don't have to cut any waistband, facings, just the 2 legs. That's going to go like that. See what I mean about it being so wide? Because of the curve of the back crotch. So that's why you can't get 2 across the width. So we're going to start with the arrow again. Start with the arrow again. I like to use my wide ruler for obvious reasons. It goes farther up and down the line. Okay, so that's there. What are we up to now? We are up to 12. See, so before we were at 8.5, now we're at 12. So you can just tell this is wider. I'm going to line that line up just perfect on the 1 inch. Why? Because it has a black line. The edge of the ruler doesn't have a black line. I want a black line on top of the black line. 12. 12. It won't be right if you don't do both ends. Well, it looks right. I don't care if it looks right. It's not right if you don't do both ends. Do both ends and do the middle. There's my first pin. I'm going to come back here and see if this moved. It didn't. I'm going to put another pin. What pins do I use? I use extra fine glass head pins. I get them from Amazon perfect. The center's perfect. Yay. Okay, so now I know my straighter grain is right. Right there. I'll show you the pins. Here's the pins I use. I just ordered 2 boxes. Extra fine glass head pins by Dritz, 1 3/8 inch, and I get them from Amazon. They're probably 2 or 3 times the price they should be, but still, you know, pins are pretty cheap. Pins and needles. Okay, put that there, put that there. Putting my weight, smoothing everything out. You know, when you cut the fabric out, everything looks smooth, but when you're looking at the paper, it's like, good gravy. Alright, I'm going to start with the flat part down here. The flat, now look how much I have left. How many inches is that? And of course I haven't moved it to the very edge up there. I've got 14 inches. No, let me see, got to use the black numbers. Yeah, I have 14 inches left. with 3 yards. So that leaves me plenty to work with for facings. So I'm going to cut this straight all the way across. This is my extra facings. It doesn't matter which way you cut your facings. Why do I keep saying I'm going to use it for facings? There aren't any facings on these pants. Hello. No facings, Joy. Quit confusing everybody. Yeah. Very good. So up here I have another straight line, but I need a skinnier ruler. Quilter Select. Quilters, they're expensive. They're expensive, maybe $50 for that big one. But you use it the rest of your life. You shouldn't cut toward yourself, but if you're super careful, you have to be super careful, then you can. You do what you want to, but I'm not going to walk around the other side of the table. I could, but then I probably couldn't reach it. Yes. Trash. There is a lady that I send fabric to make doll clothes, so I might keep pieces this big to send for doll clothes. Her name's Sherry Marie. I've told you about her before, and she lives in Texas. And the last box I sent her had some big prints in it, and she said, "We don't like these big prints. Nobody wants them, so quit sending them." So I said, okay. But these solids can certainly be used for dolls. See, she could use this. Doll clothes. She makes so many doll clothes. So cute. They go to little girls who've been taken away from abusive homes, and they leave with nothing from their home. Parents are usually in jail. So sad how some kids are raised, what they have to grow up with. Cut the notches. You know about the notches. The notches are how you line it up. Now here's 3. What did I say 3 go to? 3 go to center back. So you line the 3s up. That's your seam right here. Center back. I'm not putting any in the top. I added that top on myself, and I know where it goes. It's elastic, so. Okay, notch, notch, notch. This is cut out and ready to put together. What haven't I done yet? I haven't marked the wrong side yet. It's got some marks here for the pockets, but I'm not doing pockets. Now, how do you know which side is the right side? Honestly, sometimes you can't tell. So if you can't tell, just pick a side. Pick a side, any side. Just make sure you pick the same one on all your pattern pieces. Okay, so that's the back. And now the back's cut out. I could actually put these 2 pair of pants together at the same time. They go together so fast. All right, my friends. My pants are ready to put together. Let me reset everything up, and I'll show you how to put a pair of pants together. It is so easy. Now, mind you, these aren't cargo pants. These aren't ballet pants or men's pants, or they don't have any pockets, they don't have any buttons, they don't have any zippers. That's why I love them. They are so fast to make, and then they fit me really good too, because I did the fitting on the paper before I built them. So nice. I'm going to show you how easy it is to build a pair of pants using a simple pattern. A lot of you have said, what pattern should I get? What pattern should I get? Get a plain pattern that has an elastic waist. Pants that don't have pockets or zippers or buttons or flaps. Plain pair of pants. I don't think my pattern's available anymore, but that doesn't matter. There's a whole bunch of them out there. I could go in there to my pattern boxes and probably pull out a dozen or more that have just pull-up pants. You know, if your pants don't pull up, you have to have a zipper. and a button or a hook and an eye or some way to get them up. I like mine to pull up. And if they're going to pull up, the waist has to be as big as the biggest part of your hip, because the pants are going to pull up over your rear end. So that's why the waist, you can see it here, is as wide as the hip and the belly. Has to be, or it's not going to come up. So now we're going to match a front to a back and a front to a back. So this, because it has 3 notches right there, I know this is the back. So I'm going to put right side up of that back. How do I know that's the right side? Because there's a big X on the wrong side. Right side, the back. At least 2 or 3 times in my life, I have sewn 2 backs together and 2 fronts together. Don't do that. If you do that, you're just going to have to unsew them, take them apart. Don't do that. I mean, when they're together, it looks like they match and you're supposed to sew them together. No, you have to sew a front to a back. You're not sewing this part or this part. You're not sewing the U, the bowl, the crotch. You're not sewing that part till later. Right now, you're sewing the front leg to the back leg in the leg, okay? So don't get mixed up on this part up here not being the same. It's not supposed to be. The legs are supposed to be the same, but not up there. Here's my front. How do I know this is a front? Because it has a double notch. Right sides together. So I'm going to take this, curve the crotch the same direction, so this goes with that. How do I know? Because the crotches both go that way. This goes that way. So now I have the X here and the X here. So I have a front and a back, right sides together. And I have a front and a back, right sides together. So I'm going to pin the legs. Here's the inner leg, obviously from the crotch down. That's your inseam. I'm going to sew the side leg, which starts all the way up here at your waist, and I'm going to sew it the whole way down. Okay? It's so easy. So when I get through sewing these, I will have 2 tubes. They'll be exactly the same. One will be left, one will be right, but they'll be exactly the same. So you don't need to watch me pin the sides together. I'm going to pin this all together, sew it. I'm going to pin this all together and sew it. Same on the other leg. Then I'll come back and show it to you. Here we are. We have this leg. You can see it's sewn from here to here. On this side, it's sewn from here to here. Right sides together. Here's the next leg, just like I told you. And look here, this shape that goes under your crotch and around your belly and your rear end, look, there it is. It's still wide open. We're not going to do that till later. We have to put one leg inside the other leg and then sew that together. Then after you sew that together, you do the waistband and the hem, and then your pants are done. It is so fast. But before we do that, we have to finish our seams. So I'm going to go into my other room. I have a serger in here, but it's my very, very, very first one from 1986, and it's a Bernina, and they are super, super, super hard to change the thread on. So I am going to go in there to my baby lock serger. I'm going to change the thread from red. I'm going to change the thread from that color to probably a cream or a beige, and then I'm going to serge all 4 seams. Then, and you know what? I always do and I forgot, and I always forget. Usually before I sew these together, I crease. I put the crease. I put the center crease here and I put the center crease here in the leg. The best time to do that is before you sew them together. But I'll do it now. After I serge all these seams off, then I will put the crease in, and I'll show you how I do that when I start doing it, okay? Right now I gotta go serge. Now it's time to put the creases in that I should have put in before I sewed these legs to each other. So if you can ever get one of these, you may have to make one. I have been trying for years to find another one. I don't know what it's called. Ironing mat, a pressing mat, a skinny mat, I don't know what you call it. But it's made to go inside the legs of pants. Now why would you need that? I need to press the two seams I just put in. So you've got one on this side and you have one on this side, and you can't just press them both at the same time because one has to go one way and the other one has to go the other way. What way do they have to go? Doesn't matter, just so they're opposite of each other. Because I'm going to turn this right side out, and then I'm going to have to press the creases, and I need those seams to match up with each other. I don't know if anybody else in the entire world does this but me. I don't know. I've never seen anybody teach it. I don't know what other people do. But this is what I do. See? So I'm pressing that seam, and this one down here is not getting anything. Of course, there's not much of it up there in that area. The other leg doesn't have to be the same as this leg. It's a different leg. Isn't that a wonderful tool? Pressing. If you guys find one, please tell me where you found it, because I want another one. All right, that seam goes that way. Now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to make this seam go the opposite way. So you would think, since I pressed that one that way, that this one would go this way, but not necessarily. Check the other side. Now see, the other side comes toward me like this. Comes toward me like that. So this seam is actually going to get pressed the same direction as the other one did in order to be opposite from it. I don't understand how these things work like this. I just know if you don't check it, you're going to have them both go in the same direction. So put your little hoosie in the watch it. And that one's coming toward me, and this one has to go the other way. Cone of cotton does wrinkle. Do you have to iron it after you wash it? Yes. But when you have a dozen pair, you don't wear them very much. In fact, I've only worn this pair I have on. This might be the second time I've worn it. I noticed today when I was in the car going to lunch that the chalk is still on it at the waist. So it has not been washed since I made it. Okay, now I'm not pressing the creases in. They'd be inside out. I'm only pressing those two seams. So this seam goes toward the window and this seam goes toward the window. But when they're together, one goes that way and one goes that way. I'll never understand it in a million years. I don't understand it. But I'm sure somebody that's a lot smarter than me can figure it out. Now when you turn it right side out, you're going to find those two seams with your fingers. Okay, so these two seams butt up to each other like in a quilt. So now I'm going to flatten the leg out, and now I'm going to put the crease in. I like my pants creased. The ones I have on, they're creased. Okay? Now right here, you're going to have a glob. But that's all right, because inside your leg you've got extra room right up there at the top. So don't worry about the glob, just press around it. So there is my crease. Now if it had a pocket, the pocket would be right here and it would be hanging in here. And it's nice to have one, but like I said, your pants will be flatter if you don't put one. So I'm going to crease the other leg now. Then I will come back and I'll show you what you do when you get both legs creased and how you finish this big U right here. Easy peasy. It's very sunny in here in the afternoon, so pardon the odd lights you see everywhere. So I have two legs. this leg and this leg. They're both right side out. They both have the big U shape that needs to be sewn together. You have to get right sides together to sew that U shape together. So how are we going to do that? You have to put one leg inside the other leg. But this leg has to be right side out. One leg has to be right side out, and then one leg has to be inside out. Okay, so here's the inside out one. Here's the right side out one. So in order to get these right sides together, see, there's the seam, there's the seam. We have to sew around this U. So we are going to put this leg inside that leg. Then you have your pants right sides together, and you can sew around the U because the two pieces are now touching each other. And you're going to pin and sew all around that crotch curve. All right? Easy. Isn't it easy? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to match the double notches right here. That means I'm the front of your pant. I'm going to pin that together. Do you have to pin? I have to. If you don't want to pin, don't pin. Some people don't. I do. I want things to line up. Line up these two seams. Now, depending on which way, I happen to press them so these two would meet each other here, right in the middle of the crotch where the insides of your legs come together. I made it so the seams would be opposite of each other. Now here's the triple notch. See the triple notch right there? That means I'm the back, center back of your pant. So if those notches don't line up, you don't have your pants together right, so don't sew them together. Those notches don't line up, something's wrong. Make sure right side's touching or you'll be tearing it out. Now you can see this is very, very, very long in the crotch because I have added the casing for the elastic on here. So these are going to fold down at the top. That's going to fold down like that, and that's where I'm going to put the elastic. So I'm not really that long in the crotch. My belly isn't that big. I'm going to go sew this together now. Here we are. The crotch is sewn all the way around, 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 and around, and around. Now comes the part where you figure out where to put the elastic. Pull the two legs apart. Creases are already there. I will serge that seam. I serge all my seams, and I'll serge that seam, but I'll try it on first. So I'm going to try it on. See here, I've got a pair of pants. You see? How easy was that? How fast was that? Those are my pants. So I'm going to put them on. I'm going to put this piece of elastic around my waist. This is 1.25 inches. That's how wide of elastic I want to put. What kind of elastic do I use? I have lots of different kinds. How do you know if you have good elastic? All elastic stretches. But your elastic isn't any good unless after you stretch it and you let go, it goes back to where it started. So let's see if this is just a scrap I've been using to wrap around my waist forever. Let's say we've got 10 inches of elastic. 10 inches. And I'm going to stretch it as far as I can. Okay, and so I have stretched that 7 inches. I'm going to let it go. Hold on to it. I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to see if it's 10 inches again. And it is. Therefore, whatever elastic this is really good. And it's ancient. And now sometimes when elastic gets old, it's not any good. Now this piece here is Peggy Sager's elastic. Silhouette Patterns. You can buy great big rolls of her elastic, and I have them. I've got a roll of white and a roll of black. Probably lasts me forever. Her elastic is very good, but what I like about hers is you can cut it to 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch. So if I don't have the width of elastic that I want, I just cut Peggy's. So let's try hers. 10 inches, stretch it to 7 more, and it goes right back to 10. Good elastic. And Louise cuttings, the difference in Louise cuttings is you could probably take 10 inches of hers and stretch it 10 inches. Her elastic is really stretchy, and you can sew through it. It's another thing I like about hers is you can sew through it. I probably can sew through Peggy's too. Okay, so I'm going to turn these right side out. Don't try your pants on inside out unless you have a perfectly level body. I don't. Most people have one leg different from another. Some people have one foot different than another. Some people have one boob different than another. My legs, it is in my hip because I have scoliosis in my back, but my waist is high on one side, lower on the other. That makes my legs higher on one side, lower on the other. And when you're dealing with hems, you have to have your hem straight, not to the world, not to a level. You have to have your hem straight and your waist straight to you. So if you have a curved waist on your body, a curved waist on your pant is going to fit you a lot better than a straight one. So what I do is I put the pant on now. I put the elastic around my waist. Then I fold the top down. And then I fiddle with it. And I pull it up here and I pull it up there. And I see, where does it feel good in my crotch? Where does it feel good in the back? Is it too tight? Is it too loose? I know it won't be because I've made these 12 times. And then, if you have a helper, a husband, a friend, somebody, they can mark. You'll have the elastic on you. I'll show you after a while. And they can mark at the bottom of the elastic. The bottom of the elastic. Because you're going to go up from that mark. However wide your elastic is, in this case it would be that wide, add another that wide, and then add a seam allowance. Okay? 2 times the elastic plus the seam allowance. That's what you're going to add on to the line. And if you see mine when I get it done, it's going to go like this. Oh, yes. My husband's always like, is this right? Yes, unfortunately, you married a crooked girl. I'm going to try to do this without embarrassing myself to death. Do you see how high these come? See how big the waist is? See? You want it that way because it has to come up over your hips and your belly. Biggest part of me, obviously. So then you take your elastic. Pull the pants up as far as they go. Yes. Do they fit you in the back side? Do they fit you in the tummy? So pull your elastic tight. I usually do this in front of a mirror, but I'm doing it in front of you right now. And I just ate my lunch, and you want to do that. Put your pants on and fit them when you're full, when you're bloated. I'm always bigger at the end of the day than I am in the morning. That's another wonderful part of aging. And so then you fold, see that? All of that is for that elastic to go into. So you pull them up to where you like, where the crotch is in the front, where the crotch is in the back, so they feel good on you. And since you have all of this extra at the top, you're going to be cutting some of it off. But that's what you want when you don't have a perfectly straight waist. And so now I can either try to mark it myself, but it's hard to do it yourself. So I'm going to go outside and drag my husband in from the barn building and have him mark this under, right here. Under, let me see if I can do it with nothing to watch. with no mirror. Let me see if I can do it without a mirror. You're going to put the pants where you want them, then you're going to mark under, right there. See? Under the elastic. Then, when you determine how much you need for what size of elastic, I can put 1 inch, I can put 1 1/2, I can put 1 1/4, I could put 3/4, put any size I want in there. Then you're going to do 2 elastics and 1 seam allowance up from that line. I hope that makes sense. So look here. Look here. It goes way down here, then it goes up, 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 up. Why does it go up in the back? Because I have a sway back, and I need more in the back to come up into my sway back, up over my rear end and into my sway back. Here it dips down. This is probably my low side, or is this my high side? That's the back, so this is my high side. The other side should dip down less than this, or more than this probably. So this is the back. Here's the other side. Oh look, I didn't get my line drawn very good right there. But you can assume, when you do it yourself, you're liable to miss. This is really pretty good for me doing it myself. Just connect it. Okay, so here's my other side. Now these two distances should not be the same. Let's measure them and see what they came up. This one came up 5 1/8 inches. This one should be less because this is my high side. This one came up 4 7/8 inches. So that's only a 1/4 inch difference, and I'm usually a 1/2 inch difference, so that's pretty good. Maybe I've evened out a little bit. I doubt it. And so here's the back. You can see I messed with my crayon right there. I'm using my friction markers. Now Philly says she always straightens hers out, but Philly probably doesn't have a sway back. I can't straighten mine out. I can make it pretty straight from here to here, and pretty straight from here to here, but I cannot make it straight across. There is no way the pant would fit me. It would be pulling right up my, you know what. That would not be good. I need this extra right here for my sway back. Okay? So, roller coaster waist is what we all have when we're this age. Now, you have to stop. Stop the train. Stop the train because you have an issue. Do you see your issue? Your issue is from here to here is way shorter. From there to there is only 3 3/4 inch. On the front, we have 4 1/2 inches. So what does that mean? That means we can only use an elastic wide enough to go in here twice, there, and a 5/8 inch seam. So I will be cutting the rest of this down to meet the back. Is this 1 1/4? I want 1 1/4 inch elastic. Yes, 1 1/4. So we'll go here. Let's draw it on. Right there's 1 elastic. Right there's 2 elastics. And then here is, it doesn't have to be 5/8 inch, but I'm going to serge it. So, and right there is how much I need for my elastic. That is, if I measure it all together, that is 3 3/8 inch. So I will go the whole way around this pant and I will mark 3 3/8 inch up from this elastic line. Okay? And then I will fold that down. First I'll serge it. After I get it cut, I'll serge all the way around the waistband. Then I'll fold it down. Then I'll press it. Then I will sew it at the bottom and leave an opening, and then I'll put my elastic in it. Then I hem the bottom, and then my pants are done. How about that? I'll be back. So this is how I'm going to trim it. And you can see here this big curve. This is center, how many notches? Back, center back. I straightened the line from the side seam to the center back. Now I'm going to take a short ruler. that has over 3 5/8 inches in it, and I'm going to cut this all the way around. So I'm going to look at my new line, which is a different color. My new line is brown, my original line is blue. So we're going to go to 3 5/8. Now be sure you know where 3 5/8 is on your ruler. That's important. 3 5/8, 3 5/8, 1, 2, 3 5/8. I wish that I had a Quilter Select ruler like this, but I don't. So I'm going to cut. Now look at that. That is not an equal cut. No way. See? That's why this way is so good. If you can't just open up the pattern and make it. Now let me see, I'm going to come up 3/8, 3/8, 3/8 from the bottom. This is such a good, look at how skinny this piece is compared to this piece. I could take this and cut the paper pattern. Judy Kessinger does that. She'll take this and cut it off the paper pattern. I won't. My stomach could grow another inch before I make this again. There's no telling. I hope it doesn't. So there it is. There's the back. It still has a hump. Why does it still have a hump? Because I still have a hump. Oh, it's way back. So here's my pants, ready to put the elastic in. When I iron this, all those colors will come out because they're friction markers and all those colors come out. Put your elastic down. The bottom of the elastic goes on the line you drew. Fold this over it, and then you should have your 5/8 inch seam allowance left over. Now you can go put these pants on again before you finalize it. Go put the pants on again, put the elastic around again, and make sure that everything looks the way it's supposed to look. But you can see I have serged the top all around that line that I drew. I've serged the whole top, and I've serged that seam that goes around that big crotch curve. I've serged it, and I've serged the whole top. So when I fold this down to put the elastic in, when I fold that down to put the elastic in, this edge is all finished. See? And I'll just feed the elastic right through there, and it will be so nice. This takes me longer than making the whole rest of the pants. It really does. Let me show you a little tip. You can see I'm ironing the top down, getting ready to put the elastic in it. I'm measuring down 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, because my elastic is 1 1/2. So you see how this doesn't want to lay flat here? Because I folded it over, and this inside part isn't the same as this outside part. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew this so it's even with the inside. It happened on the front and on the back centers. So I'm just going to sew that down, and so this is the same on the top as the underneath. Then I'm going to sew it. In this case, I've only got a 1/4 inch left to sew down here. 1/4 inch. For my one, this is my Louise cutting. This is my 1 1/2. So I had that 5/8 inch, thank goodness. See the 1 1/2? So it will fit in there if I take a narrow seam here. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I could take it just on top of that serging if I wanted to, because this isn't going to ravel. It doesn't have to be tucked under or flipped or turned or anything. And I'm going to use black because I bought a whole bunch of black and I never used the black. So I'm going to use the black. Here you can see I have it sewn down. It isn't totally straight. Right there you can see it seems crooked, but as long as I've got what I need up here, and my waist is straight up here. I may have sewn it a little off the line when I serged it. It's just so easy to go crooked here and there. So here you can see my opening. There's my opening to put my elastic in. I have about 1 5/8 opening here for my 1.5 inch elastic. I sewed it from this side because this is the side my thread was the right color on. The other side it was not that dark. So I wanted the orange on top. So I just measured and put a piece of tape. See my tape? I put a piece of tape to line that up with, that folded edge. And then I went around and around and around and around, and I sewed with this butting up to the tape. So from here to here is exactly the same all the way around. My serged edge may be a little wobbly here and there, but that's okay, because you know, when you have a roller coaster waist, you're going to have to straighten it out in places. So now I'm going to get the elastic and I'm going to put it on a big pin, and I'm going to pull it through this hole right here all the way around. Let me give you a little tip, something I do. I have had the head of the pin come open many times as I was going through this. Let's call it a casing, tunnel, whatever. I put it in here and I get almost to the end and the pin pops open. So what I do now is I, number one, squeeze it a little bit, bang it with something, make sure it's tight. And then I take a piece of tape. I put this tape around the head of the pin, and that keeps it from popping open when you're going around inside that casing. There is nothing more frustrating because you actually have to take your stitches out to get the pin back out. So, something I do, you do what you do. Good morning! You can see I have my truck in my tree blouse and my barn blouse on. And I just finished the orange pants. I just got black jeans on right now. So I'll put them on in a minute and show you the whole outfit, although I don't think it's that big of a deal. You can see the orange pants and that they match the top. But what I want to show you is this awesome Louise cutting elastic. I don't think they make it anymore. I remember a few years ago, and I bought mine 10 years ago at least, I remember her saying they quit making it, and she was looking for another source of it. So if you check out Louise Cutting, her company is called Cutting Line Designs, and I understand she has Parkinson's now. She's like older, like we are, but her company still has the patterns, and she may still have a source of this really good elastic. What Philly and I love about this elastic is you can sew through it. See? You can sew through it, and it still stretches, and it stretches. The recovery is just awesome. So I'm going to put this on so you can see the whole outfit. So here it is, my pants. The pants pattern I showed you to start with is this new look. I thought I needed to add another inch to it. Why did I think that? Because I had a pair of pants on one day and I really liked them. I liked the way they covered up my ankles and they went down over my shoe. They didn't touch the floor, but they covered up my ankles and like hit the top of my shoe in the back. And that's where I like my pants to be. So I measured the inseam. And the inseam on those was 27.5 or 28. And the inseam on this pattern was only 26. And I thought, well, if I want this to be longer, I need to add some to it. It didn't work out. It didn't work out at all. I spent forever yesterday trying to remove it from the bottom of the pant. Not an easy task. So here's the thing about length of pants. The narrower the bottom of the pant is, the higher up it's going to be above your ankle or at your ankle. Now some people like those new kind of pants that are several inches up above the ankle. I would never ever wear those. I don't mind the ones so much that are like halfway between your knee and your ankle. What are those called? Capris, or just not too far under your knee. But I don't like those ones that come up just a little way above your ankles. Well, the idea of the pant is to emphasize your ankles. I don't want mine emphasized, okay? So here's the thing. In order for me to have pants that have the 26 7.5 or 28 inch, however long it was, inseam, that has to be a wider leg. Because the narrower the leg, it's not going to let it go down. And so that's the problem I had with this. Oh my goodness, I cut and I cut and I cut. Finally was able to get these pants hemmed. So let me put them on so you can see what they look like with my top. Although, I think you can probably see that already, but let me put them on anyway. Here it is, first time on. I actually need to wash the pants. The friction markers, sometimes in some fabrics, when you iron them, they turn into like a white shadow. So once you wash the fabrics, I think I told you that earlier, that will all come out. Because I use lots of friction marker when I sew. So how to make a pair of pants? Very, very simple. The hardest part for me is getting the waist, because my waist is a roller coaster. And so you can tell by the elastic on the pants that it's pretty straight going around me now, because you know you have to if you dip really deep, you've got to straighten some of that out because you can't have your elastic too wavy. But overall, they fit great, feel like pajamas, because the elastic is plenty loose and plenty tight at the same time. Has great recovery. And the blouse, I think I like the blouse now. It's totally different for me. You've never seen me in a blouse like this. You always see me in a floral. But this has pumpkin. Are there any flowers at all in this? There isn't a flower anywhere on here. Oh, and the top I told you I made out of my SureFit Designs. Okay, I'm going to end this video. It's probably way too long. And I'm going to start on the silk cotton pants. After I shorten the paper pattern and I shorten the pants, then I'll put them together. Let me know if you have any questions, and always keep in mind, I'm showing you how I do it, okay? I'm showing you whenever I show you how to make a blouse, how to make a pattern, how to make pants, how to do anything. I'm showing you how I do it. There's lots and lots and lots of sewing teachers out there on YouTube. So many. I've given you their names before. And they're all very good. If you have any questions, ask me below. Otherwise, I am going to go downstairs, fix myself a snack, and start on my next pair of pants. Bye for now.